I know it's a harsh title, but hear me out. First of all, I didn't write it. It comes from our good Stoic friend, Marcus Aurelius. And he seems to be practicing some tough love on us, which I intend to do today as well. Because I've noticed within myself recently, I got a glimpse of the saddest way of life. It just struck me. I said, this must be the saddest way to live. You know, I live in a 100-plus-year-old house, and it's great, but there's always something to do. And what I've been doing for the last years is to refinish all the trim. There's nice oak trim everywhere. You know, that's how they used to do things. But someone put a very ugly finish on it, and it's not intact in many, it was not intact in many places. So, and I've already done most of it. I've stripped it, refinished it. But there are a few spots left where I guess that it's good enough for now. And where I've already taken off the old finish, scraped it off. And so there are these kind of eyesore spots in a few places. And I was looking at that the other day, and I thought to myself, how many times for how many months have I been walking past this, seeing it, and then choosing to forget about it? And I realize I've had this conversation dozens of times in my head already, where I look at it and I say, you know, because and I feel the weight of my so-called obligations and the things going on in the external world, and they weigh so heavily on me that each time I see it and I want to do something about it, I say, not today. I'll delay it just for now. Even though, of course, I'm entirely capable and also completely responsible to do this. No one else is supposed to do it. I don't want anyone else to do it. And so it just sits there. And this is a real story, but of course, more importantly, it's an analogy. How many things in our daily lives, every single day, do we come across in our relationships with people, and things that we see in ourselves? We're confronted by them because they are inherent, because they are internal. And we choose to do nothing about them because, oh, it's stressful at work right now and everything that's going on right now. And so we put the things that we are not fully in control of, and therefore not responsible for, in front and above things that we are fully in control and fully responsible for. And we do this to ourselves. No one is doing this to us. The things that we come across, that we realize every single day and choose to delay once again, if someone else was making us live under those conditions and we were totally willing and able to fix it, and we're eager to fix it, but someone else was preventing us from fixing them and forcing us to live with them, we would call that cruelty. If someone else was doing this to us, we would call it cruelty. Yet we do it to ourselves, and that seems to be fine. And that's why I call it the saddest way to live. Because if we truly were not in control of it, and someone else was forcing us to live that way, we could practice acceptance. We could say, heroically say, I will make the best out of this. And I will even look for advantage in this. And that way, it would actually be a very dignified and a very content way of living. But the way it is, it's misery, because we do it to ourselves. You know, every day we become aware of our tendency to get angry. And we know we want to do something about that. We know we want to banish anger. We don't want to do anything to do with it. But we don't do anything about it. Every time it happens, we're reminded of it. We say, wow, here I go again. When will I fix this? And we just choose to ignore it, delay it, and think about some other problem, give some excuse of some other problem, of how the world's going right now, how other people caused this. And we try to, in a futile attempt, put that responsibility off of us. But it comes to haunt us every day. And that's why it concerns us. And who else can fix our anger issue or anything else within us other than ourselves? Every day we notice our lack of patience. And we would like to be more patient. But only every time something that tests our patience happens, we become aware of our lack of it. And then we can say, why didn't you fix this? Why don't you work on this? Who else can but you? Who else should but you? But then we slip into, some worry comes in or some pleasure comes in, and we let it distract us. In fact, we welcome it. And every day we get into those gray zones in our morality because we desire something that only someone else can give us. And we don't know where the line is. And every time we realize that, we say, I should really figure out where that line is. I don't want to do something that I don't want to live with for the rest of my life. And we want to be less afraid. Every day we're afraid. And every time we're afraid, we think, do I really need to be afraid? How could I not be afraid? What could I do to be less afraid? But we only think of this issue, this problem, this wish that we could really fulfill for ourselves only when we are already afraid. That's when we remember. And again, some distraction comes in and we readily give ourselves over to it. This is why our ancient philosopher friends stressed and laid big importance on what the Stoics call, for example, the dichotomy of control, which is simply to know what is up to us and what is not up to us, what we're truly in control of and what we're not. We are truly in control of our beliefs, our opinions, and even our actions that we can undertake without the consent or permission of anyone else. And the things that are not up to us, that are not under our control, are the beliefs and opinions of other people and their actions that they can undertake without our consent or permission. It's that simple. And there's this common misunderstanding about this that keeps us from accepting the simple truth, to live in accordance to it, and for the simple truth to simplify our entire life. And that is the idea of partial control. We think that there are many things that are technically external to us, but that we have some control over. And because we think we have some control over it, we think it's justified to worry about it. When we want to affect the beliefs and opinions of other people, when we desire things that only others can give us, when we're trying to make certain friends, get a certain job, or affect external situations in any way towards our so-called desired outcome, we think, well, if I say the right things, if I act the right way, if I do certain things, surely I can at least nudge it towards that desired outcome. But what our philosopher friends want us to understand is that control is only truly control when it's full and immediate. And that partial control is not control. Your own beliefs, your opinions, those you can instantly and fully be in control of. If you want to think about an elephant right now, you can do so immediately and in full control. It will appear to you immediately and fully. Whereas anything else that takes time or the permission of others, the help of others, is only partial and thereby not true control. And we forgo the things that we have true control and thereby responsibility over every day for things that we're not truly in control and thereby not at all responsible for in our external worlds. And to have this confusion, to have this contradiction within us is the very essence and the core and the root issue that leads us to the saddest way of life. Because again, the same problems that we perceive every single day that we know we're in control of and are responsible for, those same problems, if someone else inflicted them on us, we would call it cruelty. But we do it ourselves. What's sadder than that? What's sadder than to needlessly and unreasonably inflict misery on oneself, which no one else can do and which no one else can take away from us? And so I ask you to join me in taking those crossed wires and putting them in the right way. Every time when we become aware, which is daily, of those lacks, true lacks, of those true evils which come from us and of us and that we are in control of, but choose to ignore or delay once again, whenever that moment arises for you the next time, I want us to not ignore it, to stay with it, to take full charge of it and full responsibility for it, and to say, I will not let this go. I will not delay it. I will not allow those excuses from the back of my mind telling me it's difficult, telling me it's someone else's fault, telling me I can't do anything about it, or I can do very little about it, and because I can only do very little about it, at least right now, I shouldn't do anything at all. To not listen to that voice and to not admit any of those excuses, to at least move one step toward the solution of these incessant and inherent problems in ourselves, in our relationships, in every single thing that we are truly, truly in control of. Not partially, but fully in control of, and thereby responsible for. And to not choose to distract ourselves, excuse ourselves, or lie to ourselves with things that are not truly in our control and we're not truly responsible for. Not to forego the things that are in our control for things that are not in our control. And I've said it before, and I'll always say it, the best way to achieve internal and external clarity, in other words, clarity in our thoughts within ourselves, and clarity in our speech when we communicate with others, is to read and to write, to journal. And our book club, to me, is the best way to do it. That's how I gained so many of the beliefs that I now have. It was through reading and writing. And specifically, one of the best things that I ever read and then wrote about were Seneca's letters. They're called Seneca's Letters on Ethics. And that's why I started the book club like no other, which is around right now, Seneca's Letters. We read a letter every week, and then we journal about it. Of course, you can do fewer than one or more than one. But I put out in the newsletter, which is the book club, really, I put out my journal entry every week. We're on letter 52 right now. I've never missed a single week because I want you to see that we're doing this together, that we're in this together, and that if you keep it up, I will keep it up. And it will change. I can promise you that it will change everything for the better. Everything will become more clear, more thought out. Seneca's great at getting to those issues that we have within ourselves, to call them forth, to bring them to our attention. And then when we journal about it, we force ourselves to deal with the things he's calling us out on. It's really amazing. And so I encourage you to sign up for that. You can go to acceptingtheuniverse.com, sign up for the newsletter to receive my journal entry every week. And you'll also find all the information there about which book I recommend, because there's the Penguin version, which is incomplete. It's only a selection. So you want to get the complete version. And I've also, if you were at all paying attention, I started a Discord community because I wanted all these people, all of you that I'm talking to right now, to also be able to connect with each other. Because every week it's just me writing or me talking to you, and there's no connection between the people who watch. I get to meet so many great people through this, and I just wanted the same thing for everyone else. And so I started the Discord community. Look in the description for more information on how to join that. And what we do there is we have, of course, there's 24/7. It's open, right? Everyone can talk to anyone. That's the great thing about it. We also have a section for the Seneca letters there that you can discuss with others. Again, forging that connection where before it was just you see my journal entry, but no one else's. Now you can talk to others. You can show them theirs. And I think it's a great opportunity for connection and for really quality discussion. And we also do live streams on there. We already did 2. They went amazingly well. I'm really glad we started that. There's so many great discussions, and you're able to ask a question directly to me with your voice, not just in the chat like in YouTube like it used to be. And even if you don't ask a question, just listening to the questions of others, listening into the discussion, I think is really helpful, and it's great. I'm very happy with it. So I invite you to both of those things, and all of a sudden, it doesn't feel so lonely anymore. There are so many people out there. I always say we have friends everywhere. We just don't maybe know them. But this is a way to know at least a few of them. And so truly, what you think are flaws in your situation are flaws within yourself.